Hey guys, what's up, Team Edgar community? Megan here, joined by Kelly today. And you all know that this webinar is all about making sure that you have the most beautiful website out there to attract your followers and to attract your potential customers. Denise, welcome. It looks like you found the chat first. Thanks for pointing that out. Kelly's going to be the main presenter today, but I'm going to be hanging out with you guys and eager to learn what she has to offer as well. And the chat box over there, I'd love for you guys just to introduce yourself. Let us know who's here, what industry you're in. If you see someone you want to connect with afterwards, share your social media handles. That is one of my favorite things about doing webinars, is getting to connect with people you would have never met before. So go ahead, introduce yourself. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I am going to stop my blabbering now and turn it on over to Kelly, who's going to dive into some of the coolest features that you can provide for your potential customers by making sure your website is set up so beautifully. So Kelly, take it away.
Thank you so much. All right. Hey guys. So I am in here because I am so passionate about the power of design. And I mean that from a place of, I think people feel super intimidated and overwhelmed by it. So the goal with this webinar is for you guys to feel empowered and excited to do this branding stuff, because I think it can be really expensive and I think it can be really intimidating and it can take a lot of time. And I just don't think that it needs to be that way. So let me know if you guys have questions while I'm going through this. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat, but I'm going to be Megan's going to be monitoring it a little bit. And then if anything that I missed, basically I'll try and get it at the end. And let me know any questions that you have coming up, or if you can't hear me at any point, or if I'm going too fast. I tend to be a fast talker. So thank you guys all for being here. I'm really excited for you guys because I think that this isn't talked about enough. And I think it ends up being one of the biggest foundation pieces to putting yourself out there and growing your audience. So without further ado, the power of pretty, a guide to successful website branding. So basically, I really, really believe in the power of pretty, but I believe it not necessarily in the way that I think most people interpret it, which meaning it's for your clients. I think it's actually for you. So you are your brand. Most people are branding themselves. Some people are doing a company, but if you're at the CEO of the company, it's your vision, it's your passion, it's based on your beliefs. Basically, it is about you. It's your presentation to the world. So you are the best person to decorate this. And I think a lot of people think that they need to be handing the baton over to somebody else. Like maybe they're looking for I see a lot of people coming to me being asking about color psychology. Like, what do I choose based on what my clients, are going to make my clients feel, or what is the color trends of 2020, or even just sort of being like, what is the best, what is with color theory? And I think throw all of that out the window and think about how you would decorate your brand. Think about what it is that you want to put on display, like what lights you up. Because at the end of the day, it's you showcasing you. So what we're going to be talking about in this webinar is my story. And the reason why I'm sharing with that is because I'm the least likely person to be doing any of this tech stuff. So if I can do it, basically any of you can do it. Why design is so important, which I've already sort of touched on, but we'll go over that more. A new way to look at your brand, which I think ends up being really liberating and empowering. And how this view of your brand ends up leading to your audience growth, where you can start, and then my top 4 tools that I do not think are talked about enough, and why to create your own website, and then how to do it, because I think that ends up being probably the biggest question of all, like, how do I do this? So I'm Kelly. That's me. That's my daughter. That was actually taken last summer. So I am a mom of 2. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. So I know what it feels like to have a limited schedule. I'm very familiar with the entrepreneurial journey. Basically, my whole goal is to make this as easy and fun as possible, because I think it really should be. And when it's anchored in and you feel super good about it, you get to be out there putting your content out in the world. So, and I do that through websites. That's obviously my main vehicle, but also the branding material, like your Insta story, templates, or your Instagram templates, or your logo, whatever it is that kind of decorates your brand that you're showing off to the world. that is basically where I'm at right now. Lisa said, I love your font, which I will talk about in this. I'll tell you where to get it. So basically, I think, again, it should feel like you're almost like you're taking parts of you and you're decorating your website. So we do that through the way that you talk and your content creation, and then your branding material and all things that like have to do with branding. And I think branding itself can feel like an intimidating word. You feel like you have to be all sort of like have credentials and such things. You don't. You just have to know what you like, and then have somebody help you figure out how to put all of it together. So basically, coming back to this idea of how did the least technically inclined person build a career in it. So in 2001, I was in college. I failed CAD. I was an interior design major. And the reason why I couldn't complete that major is because I failed CAD twice, which CAD is computer aided design. So the irony of me doing this is like kind of incredible. My friends used to joke that like I was the last person to adopt a smartphone. I would never check my email because I just didn't like to answer it. So please know that if I am somebody that can like get behind this, anybody can. And then in 2010, I opened my first business. I was a wellness coach, and it started as skincare. And then I ended up getting certified as a life coach as well. So it was a brick and mortar business, and I opened it. Basically, I had no idea about branding, like legit nothing. I knew nothing about websites. All I was like, I really want to help people with acne. I feel like that's not done enough. Let's do this. So I ended up building my first website on QuickBooks because it came with QuickBooks at that time. I don't know if it still does, but it was a hideous site. But I kind of had a good time tinkering around in there. But the thing that like ended up sort of loosening me up with this is people started to come to me based on the descriptions that I wrote about my facials. And they were like, it's crazy. It sounds like my friend is describing this facial to me. And I was like, maybe people actually would prefer more conversations and you just write like you talk. So that became my first interest into like, maybe there's something to this branding thing that isn't talked about. Please keep in mind at this time, I had graduated college with a communications and creative writing degree, having no idea what that meant. It was literally like, this is the most credits I can do, like to get out of here. And so they told me, one of my admissions or whatever the advisors that you have in school was like, go and apply as a content creator in marketing. And I was like, I have no idea what this is. I have no idea what copy is. Still had no idea, even though I was applying for it. I legit had no idea. In fact, I did content creation for a guy that sold murder mystery parties. And like, I actually called myself that and I had no idea what I never put two and two together, that all copy is the words that you're writing for anything that you're marketing. And marketing is really anything that you're putting out into the world. I just think it sounds all fancy and it's not. So basically I was like, okay, so that's copy. And I kind of started to figure out like what that felt like, writing copy in a way that was super simple. And a lot of times I'll have my clients, if they're like, I don't know how to write like I can talk, I have them record themselves and listen back to it. You guys say the most brilliant things and you are so clear when you think that you're just talking. So a lot of times they record what they're like excited about, and then they listen to it and take notes, and that ends up becoming their best marketing copy. Those are great Instagram posts. They're great blog posts. They're great. And then you can even do Insta stories. Like that would be amazing if you could kind of have a wrap like that. So basically, even though I had that website on QuickBooks, I decided I wanted to have my first professional website done, and that was in 2011. And it was done by somebody that built it on WordPress. And then she used a separate developer to build it all. So when they handed the keys to me, I was like, like, how do I add a blog post? How do I change my service price? So I was so nervous I was going to break the thing. And I think I did. And then getting in touch with the developer took weeks. It took her over 6 months to build the site. It was just like kind of this like really complicated project. So basically, I ended up with it and I didn't really like it and I didn't know how to change it. So I ended up paying for another website a year later. And by this time, I'm spending about $8,000 on a website. And she hands me the website. It takes her, at the time when I started working with her, I wasn't pregnant. And then by the time she handed it to me, my son was about to be born. So my whole business model had changed. I went from brick and mortar to being an online virtual. And so the reason why I was like, oh crap, how do I change this? Because I just spent $8,000. I went in and started tinkering myself. And I was just like, I can't afford to pay for this again. So needless to say, I started to tinker, and it actually ended up being really fun. And I'm like, oh my God, like I can do this. So I have this website that I rebuilt that she did $8,000 later. And I'm sitting with it. And then my business changed again because I started to do more like wellness coaching. And I was working with a coach who was like, have you tried Squarespace? And I had, and I was like, I didn't love it. It felt really confusing. And she's like, give it a go again. So I gave myself permission to play in it. And at the time, she also recommended Canva. So that's what, 2014, 6 years ago, Canva had just started. And so it was a completely different scenario. It's just become so much more robust and liberating that when I started to put the two of them together and really figure it out, it was like, oh my God, like there's like so much you can actually do here. And Canva, it can be free. So I'll go over that in a little bit because that is one of my tools. But so shortly after I started to like put these two together, somebody saw my website that I built on Squarespace for my wellness business. And basically they were like, hey, can you build my site? And I got a few other people asking for me to do that. So shortly after, I was like, I think I might enjoy doing this more than the actual work that I'm promoting. So I built my first Squarespace website for another entrepreneur in 2015. And her website got noticed. And so I started there really building these like simple Squarespace websites, not really understanding branding. I just designed stuff on Squarespace and wrote like I talked. And while that is branding, it wasn't the anchor of everything. So shortly after that, my daughter was born. And I started to like really feel like I wanted to incorporate more of my life and my brand. And at the time, my brand was called Gingermint Creative, and it felt like an agency. And it felt like, how do I bring in the other parts of me? So that's when I started to change to Hey, I'm Kelly. But it was in that change that I started to really understand what brand was and how it really is you showing you to the world and talking about the things that light you up the most. And so building a brand that feels expansive, that can grow with you, that is really based on you is so important. That's why I think it's great when people do use their names, because it really gives you space to grow. Obviously, that's completely industry dependent, but really great. So with that, so here is the first brand board I ever created. That was for my skincare guidance. That's what it looked like. And at the time, I thought it was a wizard. It's not super attractive to me now, but I mean, like it did start. And that's kind of what Canva is. Like you start to create these things and it's like, I don't know if this is really that great. And then you get better and better as you go in there. So I wasn't really that great when I first started. So again, here, websites are meant to inspire you so you can inspire your clients. And what I mean by that is your websites it's really a way to look at it is it's your home, it's your journal, it's your altar, and it's your anchor. Meaning, and when you have all of these like really solid within you, that leads to your audience growth. And so that's what I meant when I started to like switch to Hey, I'm Kelly. I thought it was just a name change, but it ended up being so much more. It ended up being this idea of like encompassing all of the things that I was really passionate about. I started to organize them, and it felt like I had this solid place it was like as soon as I got that new iteration of my brand out into the world, I was so freed up to be able to speak on Instagram. It was the craziest thing. Like most people would look at it and be like, oh, it looks different. And I think you got a new name. But to me, it ended up being like, I sorted through everything that I wanted to be about. And so helping myself to kind of, go through my Google Docs and like pull out the pieces that were really about my brand that I wanted to talk about. And just like choose colors about what I liked at that moment. Like I would go to my Pinterest boards and look at homes that I was really inspired by. And I would build my brand off those colors. And so it ended up feeling like I couldn't wait to show this to the world. And it felt like I have this really secure place of all of my ideas kind of together. So it's like when you have a journal and you get it all out of your head and then you're like, oh, I'm not so stressed out about it. Even though nothing's really changed, it's like a mind dump for you. And I'm not saying use your website as a brain dump. It's almost like a place for you to organize your thoughts and really look at what you're about And the great thing with that is that frees up so much space within you to create the content. The other thing that I realized is in all of that writing, I had so many Instagram posts and blog posts just hanging around. Like I would keep really simple content for my website that was very direct and was like, you know, because a lot of people don't want to read a lot. And I just really wanted it to feel simple and easy. And then I realized how much content I actually have to offer to the world. So I think a lot of times when I see people floundering or feeling like they don't want to show up on social media, they feel like they don't have a brand. So they don't really know, like, well, I don't know what photos to choose. Like, what is my color scheme? What are, like, you know, a lot of people have those branded quotes and it's like, well, what color are they going to be? And I think when you start to feel like you have an anchor in your website of what all this looks like, then you can go and start to create that and grow your list. Because I actually really think at the end of the day, like you could have a surviving, you could have a completely thriving business. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm just looking at this. What's the URL of the site you're showing? Sorry, I'm like looking over here occasionally on the chat. So forgive me if I've missed a bunch. This one is actually just a demo. Oh yeah, Megan just put up my website. It's like all of these slides are based on my brand. So, and all of these slides are also made in Canva. So this isn't actually a website. It's just demo photos. So basically the idea is like when you can like really get this place to feel super good, then that's when you can start to expand. And again, it's about you. So if you're building a website based on like what you think the color psychology is going to be of your client, I think a lot of times, unless it's also connected to you and it's aligned, I think you start to lose, you have this disconnect and you're not as excited to direct people to it. And it's that excitement that invigorates your content creation and your willingness to show up. So where do I start now? I start with Squarespace. I haven't used Wix, but I've used Showit and I've used WordPress. I'm trying to think if there's other ones out there. I use QuickBooks. I don't actually think that's a thing anymore. But why I'm still with Squarespace after all these years, because I did switch to Showit for a bit. I think you can do some beautiful things with Showit, but really at the end of the day, Squarespace is the easiest. Oh yeah, there's more Kajabi. That's right. I do have a course in Kajabi, and I have actually like fiddled with their website. They're getting easier. Weebly, that's another one. I've never been in Weebly. But as far as Squarespace, they have great templates. Although they're switching from 7. They had a 7.0 version, and now they're going to 7.1. But you can still use the 7.0 version, and the templates were more in the 7.0 version, and I'll talk a little bit more about that too. Squarespace is super customizable. I think people think that you can't, but oh man, have I found out ways that you can. They're here to stay too. Like they only keep getting better and more robust. And I think probably the main thing of why I choose Squarespace over Showit is they're optimized for mobile. Meaning like, because I think a lot of times you can get, it feels like you're building 2 websites when you're building on Showit, because you'll get your desktop all done and then you have to completely do a separate one on a mobile version, and that can feel incredibly tedious. And with Squarespace, you basically build it and they convert it for you. And then they're secure, which is awesome. They have good SEO too, which I shouldn't put that down there, and that's a pretty major point. And then they have a really good help center. So that is why I'm working with Squarespace. And then basically with a few tricks and step-by-step video tutorials, creating a website truly cannot be easier. And I offer all of those the tricks and step-by-step. I have a lot of free content on my website. I have a YouTube channel where I'm always like sharing little tips and tricks to spruce up your website. And then I also have a membership where we go into all things Squarespace, Canva, and it's basically like the tech area where you're like, wait, how did somebody make that Insta story bubble? Or like, you know how they have the Insta story, the saved ones, highlights. That's what I'm looking for. Like just little stuff like that. Or like, how do you put your email signature in your email? Just all of these like little things that you kind of are like, how does it look like that? Or even how to make slides that match your brand, all that good stuff. And all I want to say is you just need to be willing to learn, and the invaluable skill of a website designer is honestly yours. You just need to just give yourself space to tinker. It's really, I think everybody that does it wants to throw their computer out the window at some point because it's frustrating. It's like learning a new language. But think about when you got your smartphone or you switch from PC to Mac. Like that always, there's a learning curve there. And it does feel really frustrating, but it gets so easy the more you use it. So with my 4 tools to design, which I've already sort of touched on Canva, that make creating a pretty and professional website possible is Canva, Creative Market, Code, which don't let that freak you out, and stock photos. So I think there's these 4 great accessible features that really you don't need a designer if you can figure out how to utilize these for your brand, and it's so liberating. So Canva, for those of you that don't know, I know a lot of people do know, it is a free online design tool, although most likely, because to save or use any of their advanced fonts, you would want to do the pro version, which is $12.95 a month. I think there might be an annual discount rate. I don't know what it is, but $12.95 a month is so affordable given how much you get. I'm just so impressed. I can't believe they haven't raised their prices. It's been that way since I've been with them. I have no affiliation with them. I just really like them and I'm really thankful for them. Annual is $9.95 a month. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm not doing annual. But again, like if you're not sure, you could start out doing $12.95 a month and cancel. But it's an invaluable tool. Basically, you can create all of your branded graphics there, your logos. You can actually find your colors. So I have a free course called Logo Lab on my website, and I teach you how to use a color picker, which is actually, I don't know if you can kind of see it. I could just share my screen, but I won't take you off this. Basically, it's a thing to you can download it, and then if you have an image that you're like, oh my God, I love all the colors in this image, you can take the color picker over it and get a hex code. And a hex code is basically a code given to a color, so you can recreate that color. And I teach you how to do that in Logo Lab if you guys are interested, and how to utilize that with Canva. It's free. So, and I think it's cool. Like you can figure out how to, bring in fonts, because that's the other thing with Canva is you can bring in custom fonts. Like there's a lot of different customization tools that you can do, and you can build a brand kit in there, which is really cool. So every time you go to make something, everything's saved, and you just click on the colors and the fonts. So other things really the world is your oyster in Canva. Like you can create Pinterest pins, Facebook banners, Instagram images, like I said, your logo, any branded graphics. A lot of things I create in there are banners. So here's just like a handful of things that, I've created. Like I create all of the logo because I sell websites. I guess they're kind of like templates, but they're not. 'Cause you get them. But like when you do, you can create all of your brand boards in there. I create custom pin it buttons for all of my websites. Like this is what I mean by branded graphics. Like I end up dropping this into the website, and it looks like it's built into the website, but you actually build it in Canva first. Same with this. And then here's like an Insta story graphic. Here's Instagram graphics. Here's a YouTube graphic. Like here's one, a testimonial graphic. Like it's really like, there's so much you could do in there that I think people think that they need to hire out. That it's really empowering. So the other place that I go to the most for, to up my branding, to like make it look like my own and customization is Creative Market. So Creative Market, it's for creatives to buy custom fonts, stock photos, logos, and so much more. I recently just figured out you can also purchase mock-ups. So like, when you see like almost like this, I made this in Canva, but you can also buy really cool mock-ups from Creative Market. But the thing that I use the most for them is their custom fonts. They have really beautiful custom fonts there. So then you can take that font and bring it into Canva, and then you can also bring it into your website, which I'll explain how to do that in a minute. So basically, a great font these days equals a great logo. So all you need is really a cool font, and it's not like you need to have all this big fancy website designer. It's like Like people have paid me to make these, and it's like all it is a font. It's like it takes me 10 minutes. So almost all of these were made in Canva. I don't believe the 7-Day Site Spruce or the Hey I'm Kelly was made there, and Alana's wasn't made in Canva, but it was. These are all custom fonts that you basically purchase from Creative Market, and they run anywhere from $5 to $30 per font, and then yeah, you can use it for all of your graphics, and it really sets your brand apart. And then how you bring it into your website, at least on 7.0, I've not figured out how to do it on 7.1, is you use custom code. And I know custom code can feel really intimidating. I felt that way. I was like, no way. But once you figure out how to use it, and I give people the exact code and then where to paste it, and then how to replace your design specific information, like what the color you want to use or the font you're using. It ends up being really easy and really cool. Like it's such a neat way to differentiate your website. And where a lot of these videos that I teach are in my YouTube, and then in the membership are where like the bulk of all my custom code videos live. So this is kind of, again, like what custom code looks like on a website. Like you can see, like a lot of these fonts are brought in, like any of the script fonts, the because on this website, Life and Style Coaching, doesn't look like much, but she chose that font. It's just a great way because Squarespace only has, so many fonts. It's cool to bring in your own. Oh, Amy says Canva custom code. The other one is stock photos. Oh, Creative Market. Creative Market is where you get the fonts from. You can also get stock photos from there, but I'm going to give you a better resource. So stock photos are the other thing. How do you bring in the custom code? So basically there's an actual like line of code that I give you that you just copy and you paste it back in. If you go under design and under Squarespace, and then I think it's custom CSS. That's the tab. And then you just plug it in there. But I show you how to do that step by step. There may actually be a YouTube video that I have of it. If not, I know it's for sure in the membership in 2 places. Okay. Sajal, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. You loved using Squarespace, but struggled to figure how do you change the colors on their template. I'd be curious to see if you figured out if you did 7.0 or 7.1. If you did 7.1, I understand why it's confusing. It does seem like it's confusing, but once you know how to do it, it's actually not. I made it in December. It was 7. No, December they had 7.1 out. I bet it was 7.1. I bet it was 7.1. Because 7.0, it's pretty intuitive. And 7.1, it looks like, wait, what? Like, how do I put in my own colors? Again, I show you guys how to do that in the membership, like specific ways of because I think 7.1 seems really intimidating, but it's actually really easy once you fiddle with it a little bit. But to get back to the stock photos, the other thing that I hear the most is I don't have professional photos. I don't want to pay for professional photos. I don't even know what I want my professional photos to be. And I am like, don't let that hold you back. There's so many great stock photo resources that are beautiful. As long as you have 1 or 2 of you and your face on your website, I think that's all you need. And then as far as like doing your Instagram, I think people are really hung up on using their own photos. I use stock photos all the time. And that was a huge game changer for getting my content out into the world consistently. The most important part is that you're showing up. So do the thing that's going to allow you to do that. And if you're hung up on the photo and using the perfect preset, make it easier and let a stock photo handle it. So my favorite one, it looks like Denise already said this, is Pexel and Unsplash. These 2 are free. Oh, Pixabay. I forgot about Pixabay. I haven't been on that in a long time. I'm on Pexel and Unsplash the most. The one thing that I'll say with these is everybody else knows about them too. Obviously, you can kind of see in the comments. So the only thing that I would say with that is like just be mindful that like you haven't seen these photos everywhere because they lose their oomph when you keep seeing them. The other 2, these are paid, is Kate Mac Stock and Hot Stock. They're both $90 for 3 months, which I think sometimes can feel intense, but if you look at how much you're getting and if you're using them a lot, oh man, they're awesome. So I have both, and they update their content so often, especially hot stock, that it's like you have a continual pool. You don't need to like go to other ones because there are other people out there that do it. My favorite one was Stock That Rocks, and they haven't been, I don't know where they went, but they don't seem to be going. So I would just say if you're, anytime you do a stock photo, make sure you compress it, and you can do that through Tiny PNG. I don't know, maybe Megan, can you write that in the comments? I should have put this in here. Tiny PNG is a great photo compression website. It's actually pretty, I think it's $25 for a year, I think. And I think you can do the free version. Anyway, so the whole point of that is anytime you use one of these stock photos on your website, it compresses it so your website can run faster. Because if you have a bunch of larger images on your website, it slows it down, which, that's not good. Okay, so then in summary, my top 4 tools are Canva, Creative Market, Custom Code, and Stock Photos. Basically the 4 tools to a website that does not look like it was done by a toddler, which I've heard several times are people's complaints. Like every time I go in to design a website, it looks like it's so easy, and mine looks like I'm embarrassed to show it to somebody. So with that thought, why create your own website? So it is incredibly empowering. I know what it feels like to feel like your hands are tied, that you're afraid to do anything in this house of yours because you might break it, or like it'll look drastically different and you know how to do it, and it just feels like, too much. So the incredibly empowering part is that your website can evolve as your brand also evolves, because it's going to evolve. Like your interests are going to grow as you are more in your industry. Like you won't stay stagnant, which is really good really, really good news. And you are your brand. So having potential clients view your website is showing them a peek into you, and nobody knows you better than you. So you really get to like own that, as you're the best authority for what you want your design to look like. And the other thing is the pride you feel in knowing you did something you never thought you could do, I think is actual soul food. I think it feels really good. And then you pair that with someone asking who did your website, and you're like, I did. So at the end of the day, you have time and money, and your brilliant ideas are saved. I know for me, like I'll get like this idea for a course or a membership or something, and like I can make the sales page while my daughter's napping rather than having to wait to get on a designer schedule. So it's just, there's a ton of freedom in it. Like you don't actually have to wait and pay all this money to do this. I know it's not for everybody, which is why I created a solution to that. So how to create your website. So in truth, last year I launched 7-Day Site Spruce, which was a 7-day design course. And it did well, but the feedback I got was, I'm not a designer. Like this feels really hard for me. So they were building a website from start to finish in the course, but they were still like, I'm doing all the things that you're doing, but my websites don't look like yours. And so I was like, well, what if I created the website, did all the fun graphics, like used my design in like love, and then people would go in and they could make it their own. Like you can change out the colors, the photos, all the words, obviously. Like, so you have control, but you have like a framework to work with, and then you don't have to build it from scratch. So I started doing plug and play designs. So basically they're done for you websites that have all of the design vision for you. And then there's the membership that teaches you how to do anything that you want to do. So all of my courses live in the membership. I did a content creation course. I have a course on 7.0 and a course on 7.1. And then as I learn new things, I put that into the course. And then there's the Facebook group where we bring in questions and help like writing content, because sometimes you're like, does this sound good? And so we workshop together. So that is my solution to you guys getting the branding that feels accessible. It feels like you don't have to like start from scratch, but yet you still have a lot of control and you feel like you're really empowered. So again, it's a done for you website. All my websites are 10-page Squarespace websites created with editable templates, and all the templates are editable in Canva. So you can swap in your colors, words, and photos. And then the support is the monthly membership designed to support you through all things Canva, Squarespace, content creation and mind monkey management, because really at the end of the day, if you don't believe that you can do any of this or that you're worthy of it, or you're nervous about being fully seen, all of the tips and tricks and tools will really do no good. So I'm actually a certified life coach, and I'm getting certified in NLP and EFT and hypnosis and all of these things to help people, support them through the mind management of all that it is to be an entrepreneur, because it's a really vulnerable space. And I know it can be really hard. So it's just this idea of feeling like you can do this branding stuff without feeling like you need to spend all of this money or all of this time. Oh, which school for hypnosis? I'm in Integrative Alchemy with Lexi D'Angelo. I don't know if you've heard of her. She brings all the modalities in. So I just have here too a testimonial from a client that's worked through the membership. I know that, basically she used to feel so frustrated with Squarespace, and now it feels like it's a creative release instead of a burden. So I think, I think that's what it should feel like. I think it should feel really, really good and really exciting, and not something you dread and like, oh, it's coming up. So that's really my biggest thing for all of this, is like, so you guys feel super solid in the presence that you have online, so then you can go keep showing up everywhere else, and your business actually gets to be the one that you want it to be. And it feels easy. It doesn't feel like you're doing all of these things that you never thought that you actually were signing up to do as an entrepreneur. So I guess right now that about wraps us up. If you guys have any specific questions, like how do I do this, or where do I start? All of my courses, all of my membership, and then all of the templates live on my website, Hey, I'm Kelly, and all the link to YouTube videos and blogs are all there too. And if you guys ever think of something, you can always reach out to me too. If you're like, is there a specific thing that you could touch on your YouTube video? I will totally do that. So I'm just going to check the comments here to see if there's anything I missed. Oh, it says, what are some tips for creating a website that feels like an altar? I mean, really, it's about like what feels so good to you. Like, the first place I have every client start is Pinterest, and they go in and they think that they need to be looking for font colors or brand colors and fonts, and like they like search brand boards. But I'm like, no, go to your like what's actually on your boards. What are the homes that you've picked out? What are the outfits that you love? And then start to like look at what the color theme is, and like feel the feeling of what it feels to really have something that like you're excited about. Like if you could decorate your house in any way, pull that over and bring it into your website. I think that's when it feels like this like tribute to you. And then your business gets, the part where it gets to be about your business is in the content, where you really clarify and you rake through all of the things that like you're really about, like finding the common thread between all of the things that you're doing. So a lot of times we're multi-passionate. And it's like, well, how do all these come together? So I think when you have that coming together, it feels like this place of like anchor, and it feels like, okay, like this is me paying homage to me and to my passions. So I hope, does that feel like that answers that question regarding the altar? Oh, and then Kim says, do you ever redo your website, changes, colors, font styles? All the time. In fact, I was just redoing it again this morning. So it stays within a similar look, but I change all the time. I mean, I tell that to my clients too, because we're not Nike, we're not Coca-Cola. Your brand can change. Nobody's going to care. If you don't like it anymore, then don't do it. Like you need to feel like it's pretty and you're proud of it. I think that's old school. I think change as you want it to. I change all the time. It actually feels really good too. It feels like when you go in and you redecorate your house, it like feels fresh and new, and like I organize things and I cut out services that I don't want to do anymore. And it's like when you clean out your junk drawer, it just feels like, okay. Let me see here. I want to make sure I'm getting more. Gigi says, late joining, will you send a recording? Yes, definitely. There'll be a recording. Have you compared email automation options? Oh, man. Okay, so I've never used Squarespace's email. I have no idea why. Probably because I started I have used MailChimp. It's okay. It does speak nicely to Squarespace, so there's that. And then I was in ConvertKit for a while, and I like the functionality of ConvertKit. It's definitely made for like, growing your email list. But hands down, my favorite is Flowdesk. It's out in the market, still in beta. You wouldn't know it. It's amazing. It's so pretty. And it's funny because like where I really like felt my giddy up as I was so obsessed with this email marketing company. And then I listened to a podcast with the founders, and she said in there, design transforms your business. And I was like, boom, that is exactly how I feel. And what they're trying to do is make gorgeous emails, the ones that are usually only accessible for, bigger businesses. And they're sending out these really pretty emails. They're trying to do that in a way that's like super, I think it's $19 a month if you have like somebody that has an affiliate code, which I do. I mean, I am an affiliate, but I'm not saying this because I'm an affiliate. I just am so impressed by them. But I think it's $200 if you do the annual one, if you do the annual rate, and it never goes up based on subscribers. And I teach you how to make them talk to Squarespace. So basically, because MailChimp looks like it's the easiest, but it's really easy to actually integrate all of them. All right. Oh, Megan put up my YouTube channel. Thank you, Megan. Jess, thank you. I like that you talk about the website being a journal as well. How do you choose what to share and what's TMI? So I think always when you're starting to like really write, I think always boil it down to the simplest words possible. Boil it down super simple, and then save all of the TMI into like an actual journal. Save that for your blog post and your Instagram posts. All of the font on your website, or all of like the copy on your website, needs to be super simple. And I don't mean that in like talking to them like they're idiots, because they're not. It's about boiling down the language so they really get, and then using real life examples. That's the other thing with the templates that I have is I have content prompts in there. So you kind of are like, okay, how does this work? So I get like how that word journal can feel like, wait, so I don't write a lot, but it's my journal. It's more of a journal of like, you write it all out in your Google Doc, and then you pull out the pieces that you're going to share with the world. And then the longer content pieces, use those as your blog posts, your Instagram posts, Facebook posts, wherever it is you post. Do you use WordPress? Sorry, I got here late. I haven't used it in 5 years. I did use it for a brief amount of time. I had 2 of my earlier sites built on that. Do you ever consider what is relatable to your website visitor versus what speaks to you? I have, definitely, but I think that ends up being, when it ends up being more about your website, I think the most important thing is that you feel the most connected to it. So then you can continue to show up in the areas where your clients are. Because what I noticed the most is like, you can actually do business without a website. In fact, it's actually very easy, but it's this idea of bringing people, like getting out there in a way. It's like you have this like space to organize your ideas, and your design, and all of this thing feels really clear to you, so you can go out and share it with the rest of the world. And I think when we start to look at it that way, it takes away some of down the barriers of entry that feel intimidating, like being really good at copy, or being a professional designer, or and a lot of the times, like, your clients are going to be attracted to you, and most of the time our clients are the past version of us. So sometimes, using your story as your marketing copy is like, that's where the greatest examples live. It's not always the case, but there's a lot of times that we're developing these brands based on, we've been somewhere and we've grown, and now we want to help people get to where we are now based on where we were. Julian, yes, Flowdesk. Flowdesk is the one that I was talking about. Flowdesk is gorgeous. God, it's so gorgeous. Oh, thanks, Megan, for putting Flowdesk up there. Is Flowdesk the same function as ConvertKit? Yes, they're both email delivery platforms. Do you do any live Q&A? I haven't. I could on Instagram. I've never done it. I totally would. You should drop your affiliate link here. Many folks are switching from ConvertKit to Flowdesk at GG. Oh, was that meant for GG? Wait, do you want me to drop my affiliate? I can drop my affiliate link. I'm trying to think of where a good place I could send you. It's in my Instagram. I'll drop it here too. I got to find it. If you have a website, can you evaluate or be a part of your membership? Absolutely. Totally. The membership is not just for people that purchase websites from me. It's for anybody that wants to know Squarespace, Canva, content creation, or just feel supported in your business so you're not doing it all alone. Can you do segmenting in Flowdesk? Yes, you can do segmenting in Flowdesk. As a coach, if you get a client via word of mouth, they need to find you when they Google you. Can be simple. Does that mean your website can be simple? I think that's what that means. Yes, totally. I love simple websites. If you have a website, all right, I just want to make sure. Can you do segmenting? You should, oh, Kelly, yes, you should share your affiliate link. Okay, yes, I will. It's great for you to share these tools with people. Oh, thanks, lady. What's the difference between what you offer and something like Wix? So the thing is, even in Squarespace, I don't know exactly, I'm not familiar with Wix, but I'm assuming their templates in Wix are like how Squarespace has templates. The thing is none of them feel that like amazing. They're not very pretty. So I think somebody that feels like they're really attracted they want a design that really like stands out and feels unique. That's what basically my websites do. And they are specifically curated with coaches in mind, but anybody can use them. But this idea is that you have the content prompts in there, and then you also have a sales page built in, and then like a custom 404 page, or like your forms look different, like they have the custom code already in them, so they look a little bit more unique. You also have custom font on some of the sites and custom graphics. And so then you can bring your graphics from the template. You can use those throughout your website because they're all in Canva, and then you can also make them your own. And then I also do social media templates too, should you want like all of your brand stuff to match your website or match your brand. So it's kind of like somebody just said this to me, and then I actually just rewrote it on my website because I was like, this is brilliant. And she says like, this is branding in a box. So that would be kind of like it's just a little bit more generic with Squarespace and Wix. I can't like 100% because I haven't looked at Wix's, but I'm assuming it's very similar. It's very similar to Squarespace. Do you have to use something like lead pages in Squarespace for a landing and sales page? No way. You don't have to. I mean, you can, but I don't. I've never. What is the name of the font you use? Oh, can I type this in here and will this work? Actually, let me pull this up in my Canva really quick. And I need to figure out what it's called. Misty Light. All right, hold on. Let's go. Misty Light. And it's in Creative Market. Let me grab my affiliate link for you while I'm still thinking about it. I think it's in my link tree. Sorry, guys. Do you guys want to see any live demos with things? How do you upload a purchase font into Canva? Do you want to see? Let's see if I can share my screen. Live demos for sure. Okay, let's do stop sharing. Share screen. Okay. So let's do. Okay, stop sharing. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Yes, would love to see how you add the custom codes. Okay, so let me make sure that you guys can. Yes, okay. So we come into Canva, and this is we'll go to home. So this is what your homepage will look like. And then if you come over here to Brand Kit, it's one of the selections down here. And then you scroll all the way to the bottom. And like this, you won't have anything in here, most likely. So like this is really long because these are all custom fonts I've brought in. But if you have your custom font, you come over here, you upload font, and then you grab it. Let's see if I can find. You grab a font file, which I'll show you how to do font file in 1 second. Let's see if I have a font file in here that I can grab for you guys. It's usually an OTF or a TTF, and I know that doesn't make any sense to you. But that's okay. It's just so you know to look for it. I can't find my font file in here, but basically I'll show you what it'll look like. So if we go over to Creative Market. And you go into fonts, and then you go Misty Light. It's right here. So you click on it. And what I'm going to do is, see, right now you can download now because I already own it. So, but if you want, obviously, if you don't own it, you'd have to purchase it and then you can download it. So you'll do download now. It'll come over here as a zip file. And then you just grab it and bring it to your desktop. Open it, and then you have an OTF and a TTF. They're the exact same font. All you need is one or the other. There's a reason they do that, but don't worry about it. All you need is you just need one of them. So what you would do is you'd come back over to Canva and upload font. Come over to your desktop and grab one of them and then open, and then it'll come up with like, do you own this? Please confirm that you do, which if you purchased it, you do. So you hit yes, upload away, and then it lives in your back area of Canva. And then you can also create color palettes back here, which is really nice because then you don't have to, you only have to put the hex codes in once. Okay, let me just make sure. Yes, I'd love to see. Okay. All right, do you guys want to see anything else? Did I lose anybody on that? Canva Pro, yeah. You can do almost everything. You can create anything that you want in free Canva. Oh, where do you add custom code in Squarespace? All right, hold on. I'll address that in 1 second. Okay, Canva Pro. Yes, you're gonna be most likely you want Canva Pro because with Canva Pro you can, like I'll show you, there's certain fonts that you can use. Let's see if I can pull one up. Like if you come in here, there's only, like if we click on here, this is a font. There's only certain fonts that you can, it's taking forever to load. The fonts with the crown on it are only Canva Pro people can use them. I guess that's like one of your, but I would say the biggest thing that's a big deal is if we come over to brand kit. If you come over here and you see how these are transparent backgrounds, these are all logos, and most logos you want a transparent background. And the only way to save an image in Canva with a transparent background is to have the Pro. So I would say that's probably the biggest reason why you'd want Pro. Oh, shoot, I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry, you guys. Okay, share. Oops. Okay. What did I even just do? Why you'd want Pro. I think I was, well, okay, so here's logos. So I'll just show you this part right now. So with your logos, see how it's like pixelated on the back? That means it has a transparent background. So most logos, you're going to want a transparent background on your website, like, so it shows up like this, you know, like, so it shows up anywhere. All you see is the font, not the background. In order to save it like that, you need to have a Pro account. Okay, let me come back to the questions. You're not sharing screens. It's probably a question for a person who designed my branding, but can I acquire the font file used on my website and use it when I make? Yes, definitely. Ask them for the font file, and they may, if it's one that's for purchase, you may have to purchase it yourself just because of font licensing stuff. But if she got it from Creative Market, you can purchase it and then just load it up into Canva. How do you become a Squarespace Circle member? I believe you have to have 3 or more websites. Hold on, there was something in here about Flowdesk and, oh, where do you add custom code in Squarespace? Okay, let me show you. Let's get to the back of my, am I still sharing my screen? Okay, I am. So if you go, and again, right now, Squarespace 7.1 is the only one you can do custom code in. So if we come over here and you go to your account dashboard, let's go in my site and I'll show you. Sorry, my websites are, okay. Let's hide that. Okay, so if you come back into design and you come over to custom CSS, it's this code right here, which, you know what? I'm gonna take this, Command C, and I'm gonna plop it in the chat so you guys can use this. And I'm gonna show you how to make it your own. So this is the code for it. And then if we come back over here and you load, you know, that same font file that we got from Creative Market, you put it in here. You add images and fonts, and then you grab it, you open it, it loads. Doesn't look like it's loading, but it did. You just got to scroll all the way down. I'm going to take it off because actually it's fine. It can stay on. So what you do is you come over to that code that I just told you. You just plopped it in. I have so much code back here, so this can be a little bit confusing. Okay, so you come over here where it says the font face, and then you have this website. You take this out and just leave your cursor right there. Okay, right between those two green parentheses, scroll down to that manage custom file and grab it. Just click on it and then scroll back up and it fills it all in for you. And then just change the name right here. So the font family name, anything in blue means you put it in yourself, except for the font face, that stays. So Misty Light, that's the name of your font. So maybe you have Chloe or whatever your font is, you put in here, and then you would just load that. And this is for heading 1, but if you want to do it for heading 2, heading 3, you can do it for any heading. It's pretty cool. All right, let me make sure I haven't lost you guys. Okay, design. Okay. Oh, it was hard to see. Is the font hard to see? Okay, just starting out, where did you start? Did you self-teach or take a class? Oh, I haven't answered that. I self-taught. That's why I'm creating all of this, is I did 10 years of self-teaching and I basically put all of my knowledge into one area. So I created the thing that I wish would have existed when I first started. And then let me also come back here to this font face code. See the green part? That's where you plug in your info, and then you'd also plug in your font name right here and right here. If you're using Misty Light, if you happen to be purchasing this is your exact font you'd use, or the exact code you'd use. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. Can I delete my default website settings CNAME? I can't get it to connect to MailChimp. It says I have conflicting records. You probably do based on who hosted your website. I can't completely answer that question because I don't. Here, let me just stop sharing my screen. Let me make sure. Actually, yes, we'll stop sharing. Let me answer this question. So Carolyn, to answer your CNAME question, it should automatically connect with MailChimp if you're doing it from Squarespace, but CNAME has to do with your domain. And also, like CNAME can also, it links to a domain that's linked to your email. So I would talk with who you purchased your domain through, and they can go in and usually correct this. Like if you bought it through GoDaddy or what are some of the other ones? Oh, good. I'm so glad that you thought there's value today. But who's Edgar? It's me, Edgar. How do you become a Squarespace circle? I already answered that. This is probably a question for the person who designed my branding. Oh, where do you went there? Okay, I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay, when you're thinking about getting your thoughts and Pinterest inspirations organized, what are some parameters you use to do that? I feel like I'm all over the place. Oh, I get that. So what I would do is I would pin a bunch of images that excite you, and then I would go in and I'd look at the 1 or 2 that feel the most like excitable, and then I bring that in and see if there's like overlap or colors that kind of match. And then that's where I pick the colors from. I go over that in Logo Lab, how to do that a little bit more like in depth. That's a huge generalization, but but also like, it's kind of like you can kind of see if there's a theme. It's like there's something that like really speaks to you. Like here, I'll share my screen and I'll just show you like one of the Canva ones. Let's go over to see if I can find a mood board that I've done recently. So with like Sophie Grace, oops, that's not going to be there. It's going to be here. Actually, there's going to be, well, actually, this is a good idea too. So I used to do these on Instagram, but I would grab one image that I loved and then I'd get the colors from them. And like that would be a color palette. That would be enough. If there was like something I was really into, and then you can find other images that are like that. Let's see if I can show you guys another brand board example that kind of goes through. Well, I can show you mine. So I literally found one picture that like really spoke to me. It was the mug. And then I found other pictures on Pinterest that like were sort of within the family. And then I just select the colors from them. I hope that feels a little bit more, it gives you permission. You don't need to necessarily have like all of this, like all of my photos gotta match. If there's one that you're like, dude, I love this theme. Oh shoot, was I not sharing my screen again? Shoot, sorry. I went through the final stage of that. I'm so sorry, you guys. Here, let me show you the brand board. So this is the one I was speaking to with like mine. I basically found this picture of a mug, found other pictures that sort of looked like it, and then I just pulled hex codes from these images. It's really, let's see, I think the other one I pulled up was, oh, like I used to do these color inspo palettes on Instagram. I would pull one image that I really thought was pretty, and then I just pull the colors from it. And that's how I'd create a brand. Still do it that way. Okay, I have to run. Thank you so much. 2 more about signing up for your program. My email. Okay. Oh, okay. I'll definitely email you, Joan. Okay, screen sharing. How do you sign up for your membership? How much is the cost? The membership is $37 a month. I will set Sean. You may have missed this. Do you prefer making landing pages on Flowdesk or Squarespace? Okay, so I heard that the landing pages on Flowdesk are that's a new feature, and I don't even know if they've rolled it out yet. But people we're getting around it somehow and being able to make them. I've never done it. I'm sure I will in the future. I've heard they're beautiful. I don't make landing pages in Squarespace. I make thank you pages. So like I usually have like an email and a footer, or like a pop-up. Like if you go to, oh shoot, I want to make sure I'm sharing my screen. Am I sharing my screen? Yes, I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So if I go to like freebies, once they come over here, there's a landing page, and I make that in Squarespace. There's really no reason you couldn't link it to Flowdesk though. Okay. Let me make sure that, oh, thank you, Megan. All right, you guys, let me grab the Flowdesk affiliate link. Here it is. Oh, that's not right. All right, I don't need to be sharing my screen anymore. Let me put that in there, and then I will get you that. And I believe that gets you 50% off. I think it's $19 a month, or you can do $209 for the whole year. Okay. All right. Flowdesk. Fill. Okay. Okay. Did I get everybody? Julianne, a little hard to see the screen. Sorry. I think that was a while ago. You know what? Next week I'll do this font YouTube. That'll be my next week's YouTube, if that interests you guys. I kind of can't, I don't think I've done a YouTube on it. Okay. Does that all feel clear? Oh, in Squarespace, do you have to go into individual pages to change something, or you create a template to insert into pages and just change the template? Okay, hold on. I need to read this a little bit. Sorry, my battery's about ready to die too. Let me plug this in. Squarespace, do you have to go into individual changes? I'm not sure I understand that question about the template. That is from Kate. Is there anything you can change, you can do template wide changes, no problem. And then each page you can also make your own changes on too. So maybe the answer is both. I don't know. Let me know if I got that, or if there's another way you could ask it if I'm missing something. Okay. Is everybody feeling complete?
You'll definitely have the ability to go back and look at it all. And Kelly will send out more about her website and stuff, so you can be on the lookout for that. But yeah, email Edgar, email Kelly if you have more questions. This was such a good webinar. I learned so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You guys could do this.
For sure. Okay, cool. Well, we'll get that email out to you probably in the next couple of hours with the replay once it's done processing and stuff. And go find Kelly on Instagram, on YouTube, and connect with her there. And let us know if you have any questions going forward. Thanks so much for joining today, guys.
Thanks, guys.